My husband cheated on me with my brother's wife after 15 years of marriage and 3 children. There was a time I didn't think I'd survive, not just through the day, but at all. There were nights when I sat alone in the dark, holding a bottle of pills, convinced the only way to end the pain was to end it all. For 15 years, I gave everything to my marriage. I stayed home to raise our children, to create a home where they felt loved and safe. I sacrificed my dreams and my career to support the person I trusted most in the world. I believed we were building a future together, but while I was holding everything together, they were tearing it apart. The betrayal didn't just hurt, it shattered me, my husband and my brother's wife, the person who I watched bring my niece and nephew into the world, who cried with me, celebrated with me, who I thought was my friend. It wasn't just infidelity, it was betrayal by someone who was supposed to be family. To know that the people I trusted most had been lying to me, conspiring behind my back, it broke something inside me that I'm not sure will ever fully heal. And now, she lives in my old home, the home where I raised my children, the home where I poured my heart into creating memories, warmth, and love. She's there now, living the life I built. When the marriage ended, I thought I'd finally find some peace. I was wrong. They refused to pay child support, leaving me to shoulder the full burden of raising our children alone. I begged for even the smallest bit of help, for $5 so our youngest could have pizza at school. It didn't matter, they said no. Meanwhile, they were driving around in a brand new $120,000 truck. I hadn't worked in over a decade. My life had revolved around our children, our home, and our shared dreams, but overnight, I became a single parent with no income, no job experience, and no support. To make matters worse, I was left with $30,000 in debt owed to the government, money that wasn't mine to owe but had been pinned on me anyway. The anxiety was crippling. There were nights I couldn't breathe, days when I couldn't eat. I felt like I was drowning, and no one was there to pull me up. Some days, the only reason I got out of bed was because my children needed me. I didn't want them to see how close I was to breaking. But it was impossible to hide the truth forever. My youngest, just 10 years old, finally said what I knew they were feeling. I don't want to see them anymore. They don't care about us. Hearing those words broke me in ways I didn't know I could still break. I promised myself then and there that no matter how hard it got, I would never let my children feel abandoned again. I've realized that the person I thought I knew, the person I married, wasn't who they pretended to be. Their world revolves around themselves, their needs, their comfort, their image. The children they helped bring into this world are nothing more than an inconvenience to them. I'm still standing, but just barely. Some days, the weight of what's happened feels unbearable, but when I look at my children, their resilience, their strength, their love, I know I can't give up. They are the only good thing to come out of all this pain, and I will fight with everything I have to give them a better life. This is my story. It's not the one I wanted, but it's the one I have, and even though it's messy and painful, I'm still here, writing it one day at a time, because my children deserve a mother who doesn't give up, and that's a promise I refuse to break. Comments: your story is inspirational. It gives me strength to carry on. I'm sorry you have to endure this. You have love, the unconditional love of your children to get you through this. I know it's easy to say, but that alone is more than they will ever have. You will triumph in court, they know it. That's why they're pouring so much money into the case in an attempt to make you give up. They will try to settle out of court because they have no chance if they face a jury. Stay strong and be patient. Your time is going to come. Second story, early life crisis LMAO. Good evening. I graduated in May 2024 with a bachelor's in CS. I finished with a 3.6 GPA, have a couple senior awards due to high grades, helped other students as a TA, made A's and B's for every single one of my CS classes. Even discrete structures. FUCK discrete structures. The classes certainly weren't easy, and many of my brilliant peers and friends struggled right alongside me, so the coursework was quite rigorous. I currently work as a Cisco field technician. I fix things like routers and switches, go to data rooms, install ATAs, cradle points, replace DIMMs purely and solely a manual job. I don't ever have to use a lick of what I learned in college. All you needed to succeed in this job is a functioning brain that knows what a computer is, and can learn the rest, which frankly isn't much. Cert exams are just a matter of regurgitating information you'll never use. Pay isn't great, and there isn't much room for climbing ladders because, well, you're just a field tech. In other words, it's a survival job. Not a job like I've always wanted. Job hunting before and after graduation entailed applications to internships and jobs as a web dev, software engineer, data analyst, UI/UX designer, database engineer, and anything even remotely related to that sort of tech. It was a wide-ass net, and a net of a size like that will, of course, include your basic IT help desk positions and other lower barrier to entry jobs. That hunt led me to my current job, and I know I can't stay here forever. To be honest though, part of me thinks all of my success so far has really been a fluke. When I studied, it was really quite unstructured. I basically crammed for every exam for a few days before, finished homework assignments the night before, and was really only good with time management when it came to group projects where if I was lazy, it wouldn't be just me I'd be fucking over. I never was serious about putting in the work needed outside of school to ensure I had the best start in my career. I never grinded LeetCode. I never tried to get the best tips on how to ace the technical interview. My professional network was a desert. I never started any personal projects or learned new technologies and frameworks. School was the only thing on my mind. The fire was never lit underneath me. It did not help that I had, and still have, to an extent, a life of relative comfort, a near-full ride with minimal loans, a home to go back to, and a spoiled rotten dependence on my natural talent that had already gotten me so far without much struggle, and, thinking about the future terrified me. I always knew this day would come. I am fully self-aware of my cluelessness and am aware of what I need to do to fix it, but I'm terrified of what my inaction implies. Maybe I actually don't want to work in this industry after all, and maybe I'm too chicken to admit it. If I admitted it, that would mean these past 4 years would have been a waste. Whisper, whisper, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Get out of my head, get out of my head. The solution would likely be more straightforward if the problem was that straightforward, but I suffer from anxiety, and as a result, throughout my life I've constantly been told that most of my fears and worries are overblown and that I don't have much to fear after all. For 99% of the aspects of my life, this is true. I used to get anxiety ordering at a restaurant. I still nearly buckle under the weight of even the thought of initiating a conversation with a stranger. I am too nervous to talk to HR about discussing my benefits. Before you say anything, yes, I plan on going to therapy, just move to my area. But in the situation I currently am discussing, I think this advice is working against me, or maybe it isn't, and my indecision is agonizingly slowly killing me inside. Let me elaborate. Here's the wrench. I am fully aware of how much my anxiety works to limit my potential. I miss opportunities, people to meet, and new experiences because of it. What if this is just like that my anxiety is telling me that I'm an imposter, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to make it, and I may as well switch now so I don't waste my next 10 years just so I can have a late start in some other industry, and relearn a whole new set of rules, potentially not be able to get my foot in the door, make shit money. No, you could have had it better if I made a different decision earlier, and live on to endlessly ask myself, what if? But then I'll hear from my friends, family, boyfriend, and co. that yet again, little ol' me is letting my anxiety defeat me again. I've got to keep building my discipline and confidence so I can believe in myself and do it, and I should never give up. Maybe my self-doubt myself is clouding me from understanding why I truly want to stay in this industry, so I just need to tackle past through it, eyes closed, and find out after the fact that the power was really within me all along. This argument is the side of the fence I'm on right now. I've been on this fence for years and years, and for all those years, I've known all along that the fence, in reality, is just a line of tiny pebbles on the ground. Is my anxiety finally bringing me to my breaking point? I feel as if its teeth are aimed straight against my neck. I don't want to waste my life continuing to be this stressed and miserable for years to come as I try to answer this question. Where the hell do I belong? What the hell do I do? I'm so lost. Third story. Fiancé cheated, but some details are not adding up. So my fiancé went out with a friend and her husband to celebrate her friend's birthday while I stayed at home with the kids. She eventually came home later that night at around 4 a.m., which raised some big red flags for me. Later in the morning, while being asked to plug her phone into its charger, I got curious and looked through her text history between her and the husband and her friend, where I came across multiple videos of the three of them having sex that were sent from my fiancé's phone to his, meaning it was filmed on her phone, and on the videos it was in the POV of the friend's husband. Now we've been to counseling and therapy, and for the most part I've started to come to the acceptance of what she's told me what happened, except for one part of the story which seems so far-fetched and impossible that it's unraveling the validity of the entire story for me. Her side of the story is that when things escalated to sex, the husband grabbed her phone, which was the closest to him, and started filming. After filming, and without her knowledge, he was able to unlock her Face ID locked iPhone, go into her gallery and send himself the videos of what he took, and then delete them from her gallery and her recently deleted files, which is also Face ID protected, all without her knowledge. My gut is telling me this is a bold-faced lie to prevent accountability as much as possible and come across as being a victim trying to garner sympathy. This seems like a weird detail to be hung up on considering what has transpired. But I'm trying my hardest to rebuild this relationship, and this fact keeps sticking out to me like a sore thumb, and I'm posting her to see if it's a plausible story or most likely a fabrication. Thanks for hearing me out.